see. Alright. Oh, goodness. Oh, I'm live. Hi, everyone, and welcome. So, today the setup is all kinds of whatever. I don't know why I did this, because I'm literally gonna undo it. Actually, I might save this here, like this, and then just come back. Save this as like a preset for this, I guess. I don't know. First of all, good morning. I hope you're doing well, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever, whenever you are. I feel like doing something. There's one thing I want to try later. I'm gonna pre-record that one, but I'm gonna do a daily thing. I'm gonna shuffle this really, 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 really well. Whoa. You see that? I'm gonna attempt to, at least. Um, Death and the Three of Cups. Death and the Three of Cups, to me, that's a transformation of community because of individual mutual death. It's like the rebirth of a community because of individualized deaths, right? And now the Three of Pentacles is there with the Three of Cups, meaning that now from this new space, a transformed space, a higher level of functioning can come into being, which is the fulfillment of a higher, grander, greater purpose, right? Because of the transformation of the individuals. And now the Two of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune, the Five of Pentacles, and the Eight of Swords. I feel like whenever we're, bottom of the deck is the Ace of Cups. Whenever we're like really close, oh, you can't even see all these because of how I have them positioned today. No, it's only supposed to be one card. So here, Two of Cups, Wheel of Fortune, Five of Pentacles, Eight of Swords. There we go. I feel like when we're really close to certain individuals, there's the Four of Swords. It's almost that question of like, it's similar but different, of when you're not completely who you are and you get close to somebody or a group of people, because the Three of Cups came out first. And then there's a question of like, if I was myself and all of my authenticity, let me try to center this a little more. If I was myself and all of my authenticity, like, would they still accept me? Would they accept me for me? And I think it's similar but very different, because it feels like there is, there we go, an elevation within self. That's a little better. A little, I don't know, you can see all the stuff I got up top. There's my eye drops that I'm almost done with right there. There's my bubble chart. There we go. See, I have no Virgo in my chart, I told y'all. I can like recognize sometimes when things are off, but my ability to get them how I want them, it lacks sometimes. So I've just accepted that I'm not going to get this as perfect as I want it. So I'm just not going to care. And that's not completely acceptable because I still need to try. Right? Anyway, back to this. It's like when we know that we have to go through that death phase, that transformation, when there are things within our own lives that we can no longer accept as they are, right? It's like, it's the pledge of, I don't remember, and it's like the prayer of serenity. Give me the strength to change that which I can, or the courage to change that which I can, the strength to accept that which I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. And I feel like we've accepted a lot of things that we can change as things that we can't change. Now, with the death into the Three of Cups, that's a transformation of a community because of individualized transformations. And then that leading into the Three of Pentacles is when we bring our newly transformed selves together to perform at a higher degree or to serve a greater purpose or whatever, because each of the parts individually have transformed and have changed. But here it's a question of like whether certain relationships would still be around if we go through that personal transformation, if we begin to do the things that we need to do for ourselves. With the Two of Cups and the Wheel of Fortune turning into the Five of Pentacles and the Eight of Swords. And honestly, it's this energy of the fear of losing a relationship. I don't want to say it shouldn't, but in some ways, that shouldn't deter you from going through that transformation, because if anyone really truly genuinely cares for you, I feel like they would want you to be happy. And if that requires you changing up some things and you working through things and letting things go and no longer depending and relying on certain crutches, then I feel like that should be something that they should eventually be able to and willing to accept, right? Like, let's say you have crutch buddies, and you working through everything that you need to work through has you not engaging in whatever distractive coping behaviors, crutch behaviors that you were as much in the past. And they're like, man, we miss when you used to just like be constantly drunk and out of your mind with us. Like, you've changed and blah, 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 whatever. And like, we wanted you to be happy, but we also wanted our drinking buddy. And then with the Eight of Swords down here, originally the Eight of Swords, to me, the Five of Pentacles, Eight of Swords, is like, you have to do what you have to do for you regardless. And it's not for you to know. But now it's this like, it's turned into, it's like there's a codependency. But I feel like codependency isn't necessarily the word. It's just like that crutch buddy, misery mate type of energy. Like, I want to be like, I want to engage in all of these things to not face and deal with and handle the things that I don't want to face and deal with and handle. And I want you to like continue doing it with me. And I was thinking of one of my old friends earlier today, and when I was in the shower, um, and I think that was before I got in the shower actually. Um, and how like our relationship started is like a trauma bond type thing. Like, we bonded over how depressed and miserable we were. And I've talked about this before. But it wasn't my intention to stay depressed and miserable. And there came a point in time when I started doing the things that I needed to do, dealing with the things that I needed to deal with, and I started getting, I don't want to say better, but I started removing myself more and more and more from that place and from that space of depression and misery and what was me. And there were times when I would be like good and that friend wouldn't be, and they would try to take me back down to where they are. And then one day the friend was like, "Oh, you're so annoying." I was like, "Hey, Zelda." No, that ain't Zelda. "Hey, Soul Walker." I was like, wait. I ain't got my readers on today. And like, they would try to take me down to where they are. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like, I care about you and I want you to also be well and do well, but I recognize that you know that there are certain things that you can be doing to help yourself that you are actively choosing to not do. And I know this because we're having these conversations. And I'm not going to allow you to rain on my parade. It's not going to happen. And life brought distance into our relationships. Yeah, sometimes you got to do it, so Walker. And it's unfortunate, but like, we can't, I think that's the Eight of Swords here. It's like choosing to stay stuck because of the people who we care about who are making those choices to stay stuck. And honestly, there's a part of me that feels like one of the things that I had to learn last year was to accept the choices of other people. And that while I can want better for someone than they are willing to do for themselves, just like there were a whole bunch of people who wanted better for me, but until I reached the point where I was willing to do anything, It's like, they had to also accept that Patrick is capable of more, capable of so much more, but he's not choosing to do anything. And it's like I have to accept the same for other people. And I feel like sometimes I go a little cold because in the past I would have been from that place of similar misery, of dedicated misery. I feel like, felt more. I would have participated in the energy of commiseration more. But now that that's not me anymore, I'm like, well, that's that person's choice. And I can't want any more for someone. I can't want more for someone than they're willing to do for themselves. It's like I can, but it's not going to cause anything to happen. So just like they want me to accept and respect their choices and decisions, I will respect and accept the repercussions and consequences to those decisions. And if it causes me to be whatever, it causes me to be whatever, because we all have that choice. And with the Ace of Cups being here, I feel like there's a lot of feeling and emotion here, but we can't sacrifice our own happiness. And there is a way to set healthy boundaries, to maintain relationships. But again, it's like, I don't know. That's a y'all thing. And I see A and O from piano. And if I move the I over and if I replace the thing, anoint is the word that just popped into my mind for some reason. I don't know. Anyway, this is not what I'm doing with these. They keep like I don't really use this deck because I never really connect to it, and it's missing a few cards now. Who knows if when they'll ever come back? Um, but I want to like a day at a time give these a really good shuffle, and then just pull off the next card from the day. And theoretically, the bottom of the deck will be the what's influencing the top. So it should go like it should build up from day to day, but energy is fluid, flexible, and very I don't want to say vapid, volatile. It's volatile. And when the same energy exists in multiple places, it's like it creates wormholes for something to bleed from one area of your life into another because you're holding similar energy in different spaces. And so it's like it can branch off in any one of those areas, basically. So I'll give this a really good shuffle. And then we'll start. Just saw the Tower. Let's see. Who is this? Ooh, the Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups with the Tower. I feel like after that, it's going to change a lot of relationship dynamics. And so it's going to change both the things that we give to, the things that we accept, and also the things that we go after. Right? Four of Pentacles, we may choose to just not give as much energy to situations that won't bear fruit. It doesn't matter how much water you give to a particular plant. If they're not the type of plant that can take a lot of water, you're going to kill it, first of all. And also, if it's not getting enough light, or if there aren't enough nutrients in the soil, then it doesn't matter how much water you give it, it's still going to die. And so it's like that's going to be changing. And also, as we grow, as we change and evolve, the vision of the future and the spaces that we wish to occupy change and evolve. So too, naturally, not naturally, but it would follow that the type of people that we go after changes and evolves. Because it's like now there's this new space. We need people who can fit into that space, or who can give to that space, or who can exist in that space without trying to destroy that space for others. And like, of course, like I still care about the dude, but I'm just like, I can't, I'm not willing to do that. Okay, what's this? The Four of Pentacles came out again with the Ace of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck and the Five of Cups here. So that's 5 Pentacles, and we saw the 5 of Pentacles. But again, I feel like it's emphasizing that choice to create these brand new worlds through a brand new set of circumstances and situations, walking into it with the 2 of Wands and the Sun. And it's going to require us to change the way we do some things, change the things that we engage in, to change some situations of our lives. And we've had a lot of time to be at home and to be surrounded by the things that we surrounded ourselves with when we were more distracted. And now that we have to sit with it, a lot of things come up. But when those things are properly addressed, it also has the opportunity, or it gives us the opportunity, to heal and mend things that were long hemorrhaging. And it isn't necessarily easy, but it's like, I feel like there's this one energy of like when love isn't enough, but there's another energy when it is. When love is enough to get us to do the things that we know we need to do. And if we can't love ourselves in the beginning enough to do it for us, then maybe we can love someone else enough to do the things that we need to do for us, to be there for them in whatever capacity we desire to be. I don't know. I'm going to give this 5 more. 2, 3, because this is 4. Not what I intended, but that's fine. 5. Oh, come on. The 2 of Cups with the 5 of Swords. And the Knight of Swords. Oh, was that the King? The King of Swords, sorry. I mean, no disrespect to the King. The King of Swords at the bottom. It's when it's worth fighting for. The King of Swords determines when it is and when it isn't. In this deck, he's at rest. So some of it may be more trouble than it's worth because of what the other person isn't doing for themselves. 4 of Swords. Alright. Well, I just saw the Lovers at the bottom of the deck. Let's do this. Actually, oops. So now we begin. And I'll just come back once a day. Hopefully it shouldn't be that long. Well, hopefully it'll be as long as it is. But this is where we start. With the Chariot. Bottom of the deck is the 9 of Wands. So this is a question of, I feel like immediately it's like staying or going. Deciding whether or not something is worth fighting for, staying for, slowing down for. I think sometimes Chariot energy is interesting because it's an energy of progress and forward movement. And sometimes we make more progress by dealing with the things that we need to deal with. Right? Because it's like if the Chariot was just about movement, then the hamster wheel could be like, oh, that's some great Chariot energy. Look at all this effort that you are exerting. But the path, the track, the loop, there's no actual movement when you look outside. And when you're inside the hamster wheel, I think it would be kind of difficult to notice that you're not actually moving. Could be. The Chariot was also featured yesterday in the final message, and it also came out today, interestingly enough, when I was shuffling before I came live with the King of Pentacles. So And then the Prince of Wands showed up, or the Knight of Wands showed up. I also remember when the Chariot came out with the Ten of Wands, and I was getting a Ten of Wands energy here because when in like tally marks, the cross is another, but we have four here and four here. But this one wand is crossing both of them to make 10. And so maybe there is something to be completed where we are and where we stand. And I remember it was like the Chariot upright with the Ten of Wands in reverse, or the Ten of Wands upright with the Chariot in reverse. And there was this energy of like taking care of the things that we need to take care of when we need to take care of them, going through that Ten of Wands, pausing long enough to really either get acquainted with the way reshifting and rebalancing things so that the Chariot can keep moving forward without it being unbalanced would lead to more later. But like ignoring the Ten of Wands because it's the Ten of Wands and just doing anything and everything to avoid it, how that would cause a lack of movement later. Now, the energy of the Chariot here is with the Sphinx. And it also gives me an Emperor energy because of the Spencer's tarot cards. The Emperor is the Sphinx on that deck. And in the vice versa, and another deck that I have, it might be the Tarot Apocalypsis now. The Chariot is depicted with two Sphinxes, but there's only one of them here. What's also interesting is this Charioteer doesn't have any reins. And so there is an energy of alignment here that isn't forced. And it isn't forced because of that 10 energy. That's actually the 9. And 1 plus 8 is 10 if you ease the tension on the 8. Right? If you have a 1 and an 8, but you take the belt off of the 8, it pops back out into a 0. Also, in this Chariot card, it's interesting because it would be seemingly difficult for this Chariot to navigate these dunes. But it doesn't have to worry about it because it takes to the sky. And so again, there's another feeling of release. And I think that's been a theme today in some ways. And particularly when it's people that we care about that keep us from releasing the things that we need to release. Maybe some of the things we need to release are the people who keep us from releasing them. I don't know. And it's reminding me of that saying that, like, if you judge a fish by its ability to fly or by its ability to climb a tree, then you'll always think that it's like dumb or stupid or whatever. I don't remember. You see stuff all the time on the internet about Albert Einstein did this and did that, and maybe it's true. I don't know. But it's like he was a genius, but he failed this and he failed that. Maybe it was Plato or Aristotle that was like, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, But I feel like we're judging ourselves using criteria that aren't really applicable to us. Or we're putting ourselves in boxes, or we're limiting ourselves in ways that we don't need to be. And this chariot talks about the release of all of those things and how we can freely ride the Sphinx. And I do think it's related to, I've been using the tarot apocalypsis a lot lately, the mysteries of life, because the Sphinx gives us riddles. Okay. There was a riddle on one of these, so I'm going to tear the page. I'm going to have to put a redesign for this one. Look like a precursor of tennis, dates from the 19th or 10th. Hold up, I'm putting the redesign. Okay. A precursor of tennis dates from the 12th and 13th centuries when monks in France began barehandedly hitting a ball against a wall. They call it jeu de paume, game of the palm. Sorry. Oh gosh, I'm so immature. Why am I this immature? They call it the game of the palm. But that's like, what's it? They still do that, but they do it with rackets now. Is it volleyball? Racquetball? Is it racquetball? Where it's like you hit it against the wall. I think I did that once. One of the things that surprised me about tennis, and maybe it's just my lack of sportiness in general, but one of the things that surprised me about tennis is how hard it is to like get the ball to like move properly. Cause like in ping pong, you just like smack it with the paddle and it goes somewhere. But when I tried to play tennis, I'm like, oh, if I smack it with the racket, smack it with the racket, it's not going how I think it's supposed to. And I also remember playing ping pong as a unit in high school, and there was this one dude who had to play tennis because he was somehow putting spin on a ping pong ball, and I had never experienced spin or top spin or whatever in real life. Like my experience with spin was Mario Tennis and Mario Power Tennis. But like he would hit it, it would go in one direction and then like bounce somewhere else. And so there was this thing about like it deviating from the path that you thought it was set on because of how it's approaching you. But for the one who intended it, it goes exactly how it was supposed to. And it was designed, or it's designed to get you to move in one place to miss where it's actually going. So you can't be there when it heads there, but you moved here because this is where you foresaw it coming when you were going to volley it, right? To return it. Am I using sports lingo right? Racket. Volley. And that's the riddle of the Sphinx. It's that top spin that you put on it when you see it going in one direction, but it actually goes in another. But her, like, she's so good on this chariot because she doesn't have any reins. Like, her hands are up and she's flying above the sand. Everything in her experience right now is completely defying logic or reason. And maybe this Nine of Wands at the bottom is the trust that she continues to have, even though it defies everything that she knows. And she ends up having this experience. So, this is where I'm going to leave it today. I guess we'll see where this takes us tomorrow. I wanted to choose a deck that I like never use because I'm taking it out of the rotation. And so tomorrow the Chariot will be at the bottom of the deck and the card under the Chariot will be at the top, and this will be a much shorter video. Well, I don't want to say it'll be a much shorter video but it won't have as much of the other stuff in the beginning. So I hope you'll have a good whatever whenever. I see 1111 right there, which is a number. And I really, truly, genuinely hope that you are acting in alignment to make the set of experiences that you wish to have your reality. Because it's possible. It just requires us to reduce the noise, eliminate some clutter, to clear certain pathways that are blocked by things that we just, for one reason or another, don't want to handle or aren't prepared to. Because, like, we can want to, but not do it. But it's like sometimes those are the very things that keep us from what we want the most. And it's like they're things that we don't even want. And so, yeah, it sucks to like look at it and to experience it and to work through it. But once it's done, then you don't have to look at it anymore. But sometimes we just like to complain. I've been there. Some people may say I'm still there sometimes. I don't complain as much nearly as I used to, like complain constantly. And while I knew that complaining didn't do anything, somehow it made me feel better. Just like voicing this complaint doesn't make the situation any less sucky, but I don't know. Um, and it's like something that someone constantly complains about, and then one day someone's like, "Well, why don't you just like take care of it?" And then they come with some excuse. And then one day someone fixes it because they're tired of hearing someone else complain about it. And then the person complains about how someone fixed it or whatever. Like, who did this? And blah, blah, blah. Who gave them the right? And blah, 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 blah. And someone was like, well, you complained about it constantly, so we had it taken care of. And it was like, yeah, but it wasn't yours to take care of or whatever. Or they just find something else to complain about. I don't know. Because where there's a will, there's a way. And that can be positive and negative. Wherever we want something to be spun negative, we will find the details. And I remember there was one experience I had where I provided someone something that they had asked for. And they, in that current state, chose to focus on one detail that satisfied whatever narrative they wanted to play out. But there was another detail on there that validated it as true. But I guess that ran counter to the narrative that they wanted. It ran against what they wanted to experience in that moment, so they didn't see it. Now, from my perspective, it's like, because I look back at it, I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, okay. And I explained what it is, and I guess the person chose not to believe me, and that's fine. It's their life. They can do what they want. But then I see the detail that verifies it, and I'm like, okay, so this right here tells me everything that I need to know. Because if they really wanted to see the truth, they would have seen the truth right here, rather than that other detail that verifies and validates whatever it is that they already believe, or whatever it is that they're already wanting to believe. And for me, that was permission to be like, you know what, this isn't mine. This is all on you. And if you can't see the truth that is literally right there, it's because you're choosing not to. And I guess your brain is choosing to not because your eyes see it. Your brain is just choosing to not, or your mouth is choosing to not acknowledge it right now, or your fingers or whatever. I don't know, but regardless, it's not mine. Everything is right there. And it goes back to the top spin, where it's like we see ourselves, like we see it heading in one direction, and so we align ourselves to volley, but the ball goes somewhere else because of the spin that was applied on it. And depending on our reaction time, we may not make it there to hit it. And it's like if we would have played the center, we would have been able to respond either way. But when we're already aligning ourselves based off of what we already see for coming, then it shifts everything. And it's like if this is all the information you can get, it does this. And so you're missing all of this on both sides because you're already focused. Now, if the ball goes there, great. But if it doesn't, and it's interesting because in that situation, I had the luxury of knowing the truth. And so for me, not that it was a riddle, not that I'm a sphinx, but for me, like, I know the truth. And so, and you can apply this wherever. It's like judging by the reaction. That's why I guess I form the view that I form. And then it becomes this battle of competing narratives where both people know what it is that they know, and we're trying to share a common space that is this reality. But depending on what motivates whoever and what it is that they need to believe, or what it is that they need to see to validate what it is that they already believe, I don't know. There's a certain point at which we can't take responsibility. I mean, we never have to take responsibility for anyone else. And I guess unless you have a child who is a minor, then you do, because I don't know, that's your child and that's a choice you made to have a child that you're responsible for. And they're still their own person. So, when you decide to have a child, that's something that you should take into consideration, that whoever that person turns out to be, that's still your child. And for a certain amount of time, you're still responsible. But some people don't even take responsibility for themselves. So, I mean, who wants to? When you do, I feel like you get a lot further in life. But I don't know. Anyway, I hope you have the courage to see the things that you can change. And I hope you find the strength to do it. And I hope you come upon the wisdom that just like you make your own choices and decisions, other people do too. And if there are going to be some people who are able to return the volley, and I guess some people who aren't. But it's like there's this phantom ball, I guess, that even though the actual ball went in a different direction, in their mind, they return the volley. Right? And isn't there a thing in tennis, like the ball has to touch the court at least once, right? And I can't remember if it was like it has to be once. Like if it does it twice, then it's illegitimate. Or if it does it more than twice, then it like the fault is on you. And like the one time that it does touch, the court has to be within, or at least the first one has to be within whatever. And it can't be on your side either. Like there are so many rules for how many times the ball has to contact the court and where it is and isn't acceptable. I don't know. Anyway, I'll catch y'all tomorrow. I hope y'all have a good whatever whenever you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make the set of potentialities that you wish to experience your reality. I think that's it. I hope you act in alignment to make the set of potentialities that you wish to experience your reality. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. All right, bye. Thanks so Walker for stopping in. I hope you. I don't even think I asked you how you were doing. So if you watch this back later, I'm sorry. I forgot.